Hello and welcome to World Sport, and it's the 14th of January. No, it's actually, sorry, the 15th of January, and again, as most Mondays, not a lot to talk about. The tennis has begun in Australia, and our friend Novak got through, had a tough enough time, and struggled through, and knowing of his wrist injury, hopefully he won't have too many more tough matches before the second week. No big surprises otherwise. And as I said, soccer wise, not a lot happening. Though Girona in Spain, La Liga, had a bad result, 0-0, 0-0 against the poor team. So one imagines they'll start slipping quite soon. I mean, I hope they don't, but usually that's what happens. The only exception to that rule would be Leicester City winning the Premiership. Everybody expecting them to slip up, to come back to the pack, let one of the big teams win, but fantastically they kept it going and won it. So that's it. I'm in the golf. Poor Rory McIlroy. Just noticing what he did. He had a 3 putt from one foot, which seems actually impossible to do, but even that would be bad even for me. And believe me, I've never shot 100, so maybe he was just doing it for his friend Tommy Fleetwood. I'm sure he was. And then just the other thing that's of interest tonight, and I'll chat a little bit tonight before I leave you in peace, is sumo. Sumo is the national sport of Japan, and I think it used to be on Channel 4 maybe 30 years ago or something like that. I used to see a bit of it, but it tends to go under the radar very much over here because it's a strange thing. Wrestling being a national sport and the type of wrestling they do, it's different. That's why I think I got into it when I was over there because it's just different. It's something. There seems to be a certain amount of real fighting in it, though some Japanese people say it's pretty much fake because they hit each other so hard they couldn't stay uninjured for any length of time. That being made, in January, Ichigatsu in Japan, and there's 6 bashos as they call them, wrestling tournaments in all. The first one now is in the January tournament. It's always in Tokyo. Then you'll have the Hatsu meaning beginning, the first basho. The second basho is the Haru basho. Haru meaning spring. Spring basho is in March in Osaka. Then you have the summer basho, as in Natsu basho, and that's in May back in Tokyo. Then we have the Nagoya basho. Nagoya actually just one of the bigger cities in Japan. That's in July, of course, in Nagoya. And then we have the Aki basho. Aki is autumn, so it's the autumn basho, and that's in September back in Tokyo. And the final basho of the year is called the Kyushu basho. Kyushu being the smaller island underneath Honshu, and that's in November in Fukuoka. Fukuoka being the biggest city in Kyushu, a very good airport. And as to the outstanding being, I guess every country has its national sport, and it wouldn't be well known because Japan has a big population, and it's very much one of the more famous countries in regards to its culture and everything else. The odd person might be outside Japan might pick up an interest, whereas most national sports maybe are kind of just national. I mean, our own country here, we would have hurling, which is only played in Ireland. Just as sumo, you don't get sumo in Canada. At least I don't think so anyway. So yeah, it's the national sport. Just making the point because in the last, I guess, 20 years and more, it's become dominated by, not by Japanese wrestlers, but by wrestlers from Mongolia who've really taken over. And I'd say have won over 90% of the tournaments in the last 20 years. A bit like in my country here, if, you know, in Ireland, if the French or Spanish or someone like that suddenly appeared and got very, very good at hurling and became the best hurlers, it's not something you'd expect or you'd be terribly happy with, because I always got the feeling in Japan that Japanese people didn't want to talk about sumo because of this situation. The Mongolians were beating them every time. Of course, from being an outsider, as everybody is called a gaijin, which basically means alien in Japan, it was kind of okay. And my main man, I think for most gaijins, most foreigners in Japan, it was the guy who really took our interest was a guy called Asashoryu. Asashoryu again would have come about 2004, and Asashoryu is actually a Japanese name, and if you want his full Mongolian name, you'll realize you're lucky that he changed, because it's something like Dolgor Surengin Dagvad.org, but it became known simply as Asashoryu. The thing about him was he was different. Very exciting wrestler. You always, sometimes it could be quite boring watching this stuff and the same sort of thing, a push out or a simple throw or something like that. Whereas Asashoryu was kind of more exciting, and he showed a bit of emotion, which is not looked favourably on in Japan. It's basically you have a great victory, but you keep the same features. My God, if you smile, and he smiles sometimes, wow, the media would be on top of you straight away. So we liked him for his naturalness, and probably the peak of sumo. I know Japanese people won't agree with this, but the after he was there a couple of years, a guy called Hakuho, another Mongolian, came along, and their bouts, if you ever get a chance of watching them on YouTube, that's Asashoryu. It's more or less spelled as it sounds, and Hakuho. They're well worth watching. They were great bouts. They didn't like each other much. I don't think so anyway. And my vision is I'd be always shouting for Asashoryu, and when he won, he actually would break into a smile and maybe even pump his fist and stuff. So he wasn't going to last. He didn't last. He was actually more or less pushed out for, I think he was playing soccer in Mongolia or something like that, which was against the rule. Whatever. I mean, Japan is very much a rule-based country, and you do everything by the rule. And he wasn't doing it. So whereas Hakuho would have, and would have towed the line quite a lot. Yeah, and yeah, again, as I said, 6 bashes a year. Hakuho eventually has now got the record of most bashes in his career, 45, which is an incredible number. 33 was the record before that. Asashoryu got to 25 before he was pushed out, but Asashoryu has one claim to fame, and that is that he actually won 11 out of 12 bashos, and he'd have won 2 solid years in a row, except he got married in the middle of 2004. 2005, 6 out of 6, which nobody else has done. Very, very difficult to do. And just moving into what's happening now, I got interested in, for the first time in a long time, in a certain wrestler, and a guy called Hoshoru, and just again a very exciting wrestler, really, really fun to watch. I only found out much, much later that he was actually Asashoru's nephew, so he's a good fighter, and he actually he'd have won I guess the Nagoya, I think it was Nagoya, the July Basho last year. So, and he doesn't look big, he's small, and so that was a great achievement. 12-3 the record. So yeah, he'll be fighting now for another 10 years. So hopefully he'll win a lot more. And that's, yeah. I mean, the first couple of days are over, but to be honest, it doesn't really get exciting until late into the second week. Each wrestler will have 15 bouts, and then at the end, the best wrestlers start meeting, and 15-0 is the perfect score, and it's often been done. But something near to that is going to win it. So thank you for listening. That's my sumo stuff off my chest, and we'll get back to normal if there is a normal tomorrow. Good night.